I had such a plan in place of how I could 10x what he was costing me. I had a 10x plan to get that back. And we did that. And so he literally opened up like a separate part of the business. He opened up like a quantity surveying part of the business, which I didn't have before. We were contracting it out so I could see that I was spending money on it. And I'm like, actually, if I get a guy in, I could charge the clients more. I could offer the full package, and it would be an absolute asset for my architects and my interior designers.
Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo, using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rearview mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this. And it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line.
Every month on the second Thursday, we've got a live Q&A to answer all your Profit First questions. There's a link in the show notes to sign up. I made it easier because the old system was too difficult. So check it out. Hope to chat with you and help you be more profitable. Do you feel like your business owns you instead of you owning the business? As entrepreneurs, so many of us get trapped doing the day-to-day work inside our business instead of focusing on the high-level growth and profit. So how do you break out of the trap? How do you build your business in a way that gives you more money and more freedom at the same time? By the way, that's how I built my business. That's what we're going to dive into today. We've got business coach Pete Taylor on to uncover the secrets to structuring your business for maximum profitability and time. He is the founder of Awakened Man, where he helps high-performing men become the best version of themselves. But he also has years of experience building traditional brick-and-mortar companies, expertise both online and offline. And he's going to share his formula for creating businesses that run themselves while growing your income. You'll have actionable insights today to take the next step. Doesn't matter where you are on your business journey. Let's meet Pete. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Pete Taylor. It's great to have you join us today.
Good to be here, buddy.
Can you share a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, sure thing. So, age 17, got into corporate, was in corporate for nearly 10 years, got up to corporate leadership, began my own business, ran my own business of bricks and mortar, traditional based architecture and interior design and construction, ran that for 6 years. We built that from living room up to 3-story building, 20 people, tenants, award-winning company in London. And then I left there a couple of years ago, set up an online business, which is extremely different in all of its nature, completely different arena in literally helping men is the work that I do. And that's where I am now. I'm still within that company. It's called The Awakened Man. So online arena.
What was different about running an online business versus a brick and mortar? And then where were the similarities?
So my bricks and mortar business is a local company. So albeit we did work up and down the UK, we were predominantly London and in the South. And we were constrained by, like, we did construction. So we were really constrained by our local contractors. And the difference, the first difference is absolutely that with the online business, our reach is global. We literally have clients in 15 different companies. The last time I looked at our Stripe account, there was 15 different transactions across different countries. So like first one is definitely global reach versus local reach which allows us to have bigger opportunities when it comes to revenue generation.
Yeah, it's nice when the whole world is your market and not a small niche, right? And,
yeah, absolutely.
But it must be harder then. I mean, when you have a small niche, it's easier to go to market to them. Whereas when you market to the world, essentially, you can get lost.
You can. And I have to admit, I definitely, for the first probably 9 to 12 months of running this online business, was very focused on what's the niche and how can we get very, very streamlined in the niche. We're now 2 years into this online business, and certainly what we've learned, probably actually accelerated over the last 6 months, is that between myself and my other co-directors, we have a number of skill sets, and we can absolutely sell those skill sets. And so our niche has actually broadened. And I was very hesitant about doing that, like initially, because I've always been, the riches are in the niches, and it's we have to really, really dial that in. But actually, what we found is that we can be quite broad in our offering and still attract the right clients.
Interesting. And I've heard the same thing, riches are in the niches, but this is where I'm not going to say struggle, because struggle is not the right word. I have found I use more of a psychographic niche than a demographic niche. So it's the kind of people that I want to work with. There are some demographics to it, but it's more their behaviors and what they're trying to do that really separates them. I think too often people look at it as a demographic niche.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just to give you an example, when we first started doing the work that we're doing, we were literally very focused on, and our message was, we will help men unfuck themselves. And we'll do that by getting into their psychology and getting them to understand what's going on inside their head. That's that. And we only work with high performing men. Okay. And we only work with guys that are doing over 6 figures personally, or they run like 7-figure businesses. Okay. That was very much like where we were like honing in on where we were going. But actually, one of my backgrounds from in my early 20s is professional bodybuilding. And I've been in like that, the fitness world since I was 15 years old. And one of my co-directors has literally transformed thousands of people's lives, because his previous business was a body transformation business where he had a big 10,000 square foot gym and he would help people transform their bodies. And I'm like, hey, we've got a massive, massive skill set here that we are not using. And actually, it's a skill set that coincides with helping a man become his best version, is his physical well-being, right? Getting fit and strong, being healthy. So we added that to our spectrum, and it broadened our horizon. And so it wasn't just guys that are earning 6 figures or all their businesses are doing 7. It wasn't just that. Actually, like, we've got this amazing kind of add-on here to the business, and you don't need to be earning any particular money to get fit. And we can help guys do that. And in turn, they begin to untwist their mind.
You know, it's funny, when you lose weight, you also start to make more money. They go hand in hand.
When guys ask me, like, what's one of the things that they can do to improve their business, right? I'm like, how's your health and fitness? How healthy are you? How much energy have you got? How good do you feel at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Sometimes it's really easily ignored. because it's like, no, I need to focus on the next strategy. Or like, what's the next tactic that I can put in the business, the next marketing tactic? But actually, you give yourself some more energy. And let's just say that the previous self was getting 3 time blocks a day of good work, of solid good work, 3 blocks, whatever you want to call those blocks. But an energetic version of you gets 10 blocks of quality work just because we've switched up your health.
I've always said business owners are the foundation of the business. And if they're not solid, then neither will their business be. These are all tied together. So here's the deal. For those of you listening, if you want to dive into this part of it, Pete is going to be on my other podcast, Richer Soul. We're going to go deep on that whole level. Today, we are talking about money and systems and processes in your business. So you are also a fan of Profit First. Did you use that in your prior business or just in this one?
Both. I absolutely love Profit First. When that book came across my desk, and it was given to me by old mentor, now business partner, right? So Yazine mentored me for many years through my first business, and he put that book across my desk, and I absolutely loved it and it was weird because there were some of those principles that I was actually employing in my personal life, just in my personal banking, hadn't thought to put it into my business.
And that was my major aha. When I joined Profit First, I was like, oh, I do all of this. This is how I run my personal wealth. This is how I did it. And I was like, well, I could recreate the wheel or I could just partner with Mike. And I was like, it's much easier to partner with Mike. He's already put the language and has the marketing behind how to do this. And I was like, but yeah, so this is the way I naturally do things, is to take the money, to put it in separate accounts, give it a particular job and send it to do its job. And it works. It works everywhere. It's a universal principle.
It makes so much sense, yet so many business owners don't employ it. And I speak to so many founders and guys and girls that run businesses, and they'll have one bank account where everything goes in.
How did it change your business?
Okay, so straight off the bat, structure. Okay, so structure just in the bank accounts themselves, which then allowed us to really understand. And I had a good grasp of what was kind of coming in and out, but it was hard to read. This gave us a real clear understanding of what we were spending, which was the big thing, right? So when we separated that, like we had our OPEX account, I'm like, oh, right, okay, so this is actually what we're spending. And I can literally, and so one of my things, I don't do this as much now, but I used to look at the bank account every single day, the operating expenses account every single day to see what was going out. And I suppose now I'm probably doing it every 2 or 3 days because I just like it. But what it taught me then was I would know that on the 17th, the rent would be coming out, and so would the broadband, and so would all the phone bills for the team. And I know that on the 21st, all the expenses would go out for the team. And I would just get to know this drumbeat. I'm like, oh yeah, today's the 22nd. Okay, so all the utilities for the building are going out. Okay, great. And that actually just gave me like a real money grasp and just understanding what was coming in and what was going out the business. And I knew it like clockwork because I used to look at the operating expenses account every freaking day and see what was going in and going out. And it also made me realize, oh, right, well, I don't know why we've got that software subscription. We're like, literally, it's like coming out. And like, what is that? Get rid of it.
I think that is the biggest thing. It creates a rhythm. It gives you total clarity. You know how much money came in because it's in your income account. You can see where your money's going out. You start to feel the rhythm of how your money is coming and going, and you can see it clear as day. And I know for me, I will be honest, well, my OPEX, I have a set percentage for OPEX, but what I have noticed is my OPEX goes in cycles. There are certain times of the year where a whole bunch of big expenses come through, and I know, I may have to worry about that. And then there's other times of the year that it's online. But every time I overspend OPEX or my OPEX is down, it's that gut check. It's the warning. Hey, take a look at your spending. Is it that time of the year or are you getting out of hand again? Because it is so easy to get out of hand. And it gives you that immediate reminder. And then my income account, it's like the candy jar, right? It's, ooh, money came in. Ooh, money came. It's just that excitement of knowing that's going on. And so seeing it, and to me, it's more like feeling it. You get in rhythm with your money flows that if I had one bank account, I would have no idea what was coming in, what was going on, and whether or not I was in trouble or not. And that is really what it's helped me with from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at business like a game, and especially the bank accounts like a game. It's just numbers. It's just like back in the day playing GTA, Grand Theft Auto, and like just watching the money go up. And then it's the same way I look at the bank accounts. It's like, I'm just going to keep that money going up. And I can clearly see on the income account, I'm like, great, well, see the money going up, I'm winning the game.
And that's what it comes down to, right? It's a self-rewarding gamification, which then encourages you to continue to do better. And it no longer becomes a struggle. It becomes fun. It becomes easy. It's like, how much can we get this to go? And it really makes you think twice about spending in your business, which too many people spend too easily.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, just to jump in there, because like one other thing that massively helped me in my earlier days was, and this is a cliche thing for business owners, is paying yourself first. And because there'll be often I wouldn't, but especially when I first started business and I started having a team around me, like I wouldn't pay myself first. Everyone else would get paid before me. But now I've got and I've had the, I still have now to this day, is the owner's account. Like I have an owner's salary account, and that gets allocated. And so I know that there's always money in there. And I'm like, great. Well, now I take joy in paying myself first because the money's allocated in that account and it's part of the structure.
And this is the other kind of magical thing about this is, for those of you in the beginning, just because you allocate to the income account doesn't mean you have to take the income. You can let it build up a little so that you've got 3-4 months of pay in there. And then you start taking your monthly paycheck. And then you're always like, hey, you know what? No matter what, I've always got 3-4 months of pay. And so I know my home life is going to be okay. I'm on a solid foundation. I can start doing things. And if things go wrong, I know that home life isn't going to get messed up because there's a little bit of extra margin in that account. And I think from that standpoint, it helps psychologically to be in a better place.
Yeah. And this is definitely a mess up that I made in my first business, is that I didn't pay myself enough. I built that business over the course of 6 years. We got into the multi-millions. We had a big team. We had all fancy things, and it was great. I actually, when I look back at that, I'm like, I didn't pay myself enough. I didn't take anywhere near as much as I should have done. I was just like, hey, invest back into the business. Invest back into the business. It was I can tell you, it was a self-worth issue for me, right? What I have since done, and which has helped with this, number one, my self-worth is like really nothing to do with the amount people pay me. It is all about the problems that I solve, and that it's worth a lot more to them. Number two, I've just structured this, so I've got no choice, is that because we have a separate profit account and money goes into that profit account, that money is away from the business. And so it's like that money is there for me, and it's harder for me to then reinvest it back into the business because it's separate in another bank, right? So then that way, and because there's three of us that run the business, it was like, well, we then distribute it, we take it. And so I generally have more money for myself. And that was a mess up that I made in my first business, is that I was just obsessed with investing back into the company, which is a good thing to do. I didn't look after myself enough.
And you're not alone. Most business owners are in the same boat that you are. They
I
all
know.
behave the same.
I know. And it's a problem, because what do we do this for? Like typically we build this so we can build wealth. And then from that wealth, we can then create choice and freedom. But forever reinvesting back in. And just like I built that over 6 years. And then all of a sudden I decided to leave. And I left. I left within 3 months. I did a micro exit. I didn't get anywhere near what I could have or should have done on leaving that business. Because for me at that time, I was not in the mental space to go through another 18 months of let's make this really profitable so I can be bought out. I just wasn't there. So I left. In hindsight, if I had actually been taking more money from the company, which I could have done, we could have afforded to do it. Yeah, I would have been wealthier when I left that company.
Hindsight is 2020. So when you work with business owners, where do you begin?
Okay, so there's 2 places I begin. Number 1 is their time and their energy. And number 2 is that I have a model. I have a 3-stage Venn diagram model that I like to work through. But probably the first place that I really look at is where they're spending their time. So we'll do a time audit. Okay. Typically, I find the business owner is the bottleneck, and they're probably spending at least a good chunk of percentage in the wrong place. And so we'll look at that and try and reallocate where they're spending their time quickly so we can make them more effective. That's number 1. And then I'll look at their energy output. Like, how is their health? How is their sleep? How is their eating, moving, sleeping? How do they feel? How's their energy? And because that's a really, really quick fix. Typically, unless they've got that under wraps anyway, unless they're good with that, typically it's a quick fix and we can increase their output by increasing their energy, right? Then we'll go through the Venn diagram. Now, the Venn diagram looks at 3 different areas. Area number 1 is the business model itself. And I put this as area number 1 because this was absolutely an area that when I first started my first business, my architectural business, I had no idea about and I didn't focus on. Like, I was an architect. I became a business owner overnight. I was an operator. And so I was very much in architectural mode and just serving clients. And we did well because we had a good reputation. We were good at building relationships and our product was good. And we did well because of that. But for the first couple of years, our business model wasn't right because I'd never looked at it. I was just doing work and I was charging by the hour.
And this for me is big. I've said this a multitude of times. Every business is a math equation. You get to decide what that math equation looks like. And that's what this business model conversation's about. How do we build the business math that allows you to work less and make more? And it's your choice.
It absolutely is. And I was extremely unaware that it was my choice. And also that there was these things called business models, and there would be specific ones that would work really well for my area of expertise, right? So this is the first area that I really look at. And we'll also kind of look at, so in each, if you imagine like a Venn diagram, so there's like 3 circles point like together, okay? And around each circle, I have these things called accelerators. So in the model, in the business model part of the circle, the accelerator, number 1, is the traffic. So for your business model, where is the traffic coming from? And what's the most effective way to get that traffic? Because we can very, very easily spray our gun and fire everywhere and go for all sources of traffic and put all of our energy and time into all of these sources of traffic. Whereas there might just be 1 or 2 that will work really, really well for our business, and we can hone in on them and we can make them a green light rather than a red light, optimize them, and really make that a fulfilling client acquisition system. And then once we've got that flowing and we know that's really great, we can then move on to the next and go, and then we can get 2 or 3 going. But so the first accelerator that I'll look at is the traffic. Where's the business actually getting traffic from? Where do we need to put the focus on? Right?
Nice. Now, we're still in the same part of the diagram. What are the other 2 parts of the diagram?
The other 2 parts of the diagram. So number 1 is the model. Number 2 is the plan. So let's have a result-driven plan and an effective plan and a plan that's actually achievable. Like, it's great to have these like pie in the sky and, you know, we've just started out in business. We've just done our first 100 grand, but we want to do 10 million. It's great to have that big vision, but more often than not, sometimes it's way too far fetched and can be overwhelming in thinking about that. And so, but whereas if we've got the big vision, we know where we want to get to, but if we get like an actual achievable plan, or we can put milestones in place where we can achieve them. And when we achieve them, we can fucking get dopamine. It feels good. It's like, well done, team. Because I can tell you, when I first started doing this and I'd set these massive milestones and we'd well under hit them. I'd set too many of them. I'd have like 15 milestones, right? And then B, they'd be too big. And then we'd underachieve. And guess how myself and the team would feel? It'd be the worst day.
And I think this is the biggest issue that I see when I look at a business. And again, it comes back to the math equation. You want to have 1 million or 10 million in sales. That's awesome. But let's reverse engineer what actually has to happen. How much is the product? How many of them do you have to sell for that? What does the ramp up look like? I find most entrepreneurs are extremely optimistic. And I will, just like you, I want to reel them back. Because I'm like, everything takes twice as long and twice as much as what you tell me it's going to do. Let's look at what that does. Let's see if it makes sense. Or if we look at the math and it's like, I can't do this much. This is more than we can handle. Then we can dial the number back to realistic. And like you said, success breeds success. You start losing your success along the way, you give up. And so it's important to have the right speed and the right process, and that requires a plan. So what's the third area of the Venn?
Team.
Right, people.
Of course, it's team. And this is looking at, do we have a team of high performers? Do we have a team of A players and our rocks and our solid guys and girls, right? So like the A players are the guys and the girls that might well be gunning for our spot. And they want the promotions and they want all the bonuses and they got all the great ideas and they are really, really hungry for it. And they are fantastic to have.
So this is an area of struggle for many business owners. They're like, I can't afford A players. So how do you get A players when you don't think you can get them?
A players, do you know, I have, in my previous business, I would say that I solidly had 3. I can think of them now, right? None of them, well, actually one. I knew he was an A player when he came to me. I had to poach him and I did have to pay money for him. I had to pay over the odds. It took persuasion. It took a great package. However, I had such a plan in place of how I could 10x what he was costing me. I had a 10x plan to get that back. And we did that. And so he literally opened up like a separate part of the business. He opened up like a quantity surveying part of the business, which I didn't have before. We were contracting it out so I could see that I was spending money on it. And I'm like, actually, if I get a guy in, I could charge the clients more. I could offer the full package and it would be an absolute asset for my architects and my interior designers. This is a no-brainer. I knew who the guy was. But the other 2, I didn't know that they were going to be who they were, right? Who they blossomed into being. And it was very much, they came in to do one role. And when we found out what their skill sets were, and they actually changed roles and were like world-class in those roles.
How do you get people to blossom?
We had, there's loads of ways to do this. We actually were, because I'm such a personal development geek, and I have been for such a long time. I was really, really hot on everyone doing self-development, personal development. I was really, really hot on everyone looking after their health. And I was also really hot on giving people autonomy and opportunity. And I'll be honest, some of the times I gave people like opportunity and autonomy because I didn't fucking know the answers, because I was new in business, right? And I'm like, hey, I've got this section over here and I don't really know. And I'm going to be honest about not knowing. I'm going to lead it. I'm going to be a great leader, but I'm going to get back up from these new players and give them the opportunity to shine. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But what came from that was when they did shine, I'm like, freaking hell, she's amazing at that. Let's give her more of this, more that. That's her zone of genius there. Let's give her more of that.
And you have to pivot. You have to inspire, and you have to do all of those different things, because not everyone can afford the A players. And it's not always about the money. It's about everything else and bringing it all together.
So here's something tactical I recall doing, and it changed the dynamic of the business. I can't remember the guy's name who come up with this exercise. It is the zone of genius. Have you heard of zone of genius?
Yes.
So you've got zone of genius, zone of excellence, zone of competence, and zone of incompetence. And I can't remember who came up with it, but I'd read the book and I'm like, this is a fantastic concept. I got the whole team together. And at the time, I think there was just shy of 10 of us. And we went through this. I went through this exercise with everyone, got everyone to write down all their roles and responsibilities, everything they do within the business, even if it's not documented in their traditional roles and responsibilities, and then put it in the sections: zone of genius, zone of competence, excellence, incompetence. And what came out of that was that there was a number of my team that were just doing things that they just really didn't like doing. And sometimes, listen, we just got to suck it up. Sometimes there's like, do you know what? You just have to suck that up. But there was one of my team members, and one of her roles was to chase money. It was literally to get on the phone with our clients and say, hey, you're 15 days overdue or you're 7 days overdue. And she hated it. She's like, and this just came out. She's like, I despise it. It just it makes me feel sick in my stomach. I'm not good at doing it. I actually put it off. When you ask me to do it, I keep putting it off and putting it off. And I'm like, this is one of the most important tasks in the business, is to ensure that we're getting our receivables in. And if she hates doing it, there's a problem here. Because A, it's not making her feel good, but B, it's not making our bank balance feel good. So I got someone in to go and do it instead.
And this is so true of the business owner themselves. You have to wear a ton of different hats. The hats you hate wearing, you aren't going to do them. And that's the area of your business that isn't going to work. That's your flat tire. And I don't care if you're driving a Lamborghini with a flat tire goes nowhere. And your business is the same. So you've got to get out of doing the things that don't work for you. That said, if you've got a problem with collections, the first part of this Venn diagram, change your business so that A, it's auto bill. Like, you get their credit. Do you want to do business with me? I need your credit card number or your bank number, and we're going to auto draft. Here's when the invoice goes out. Here's when the auto draft comes. Nobody's making phone calls. Or you pay up front. Like, figure out how to change your business model so this isn't an issue, or create a way that if they don't pay on time, massive extra fees or whatever, so that you get compensated to put a person in place to handle that silliness. Hey, this has been awesome. I think these are the basics that everyone needs to do to build the foundation for their business. And we've kind of just scratched the surface. We're going to go much deeper on the psychology side on the other podcast, Richer Soul. If people would like to learn more about you and your services, where is the best way for them to find you?
My Instagram handle is the easiest way. It's Pete_Taylor on Instagram. Extremely active on there. Easiest way to find me.
What about our business owners who don't play Instagram?
LinkedIn. Pete Taylor on LinkedIn. I'm also very active on there.
Cool. We will put that into the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, buddy.
Pete's on my other podcast as well, episode 363. We're going to dive into his backstory, how he became to be, how he's been able to achieve so much of what he's done. You want to hear the softer side of being a business owner? Check it out. It's titled Becoming Your Best Self, Unlocking the awakened man within you. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can go right to it. Okay, now you have the keys to structuring your business for maximum profit and time freedom. But you got to do it, right? Implement profit first. You can do this on your own. Get financial clarity. Create the rhythm in your business. Know where your money is going. Constantly improve the business model. You have to work on your business, not in your business. Create the systems. Okay, every time I think about hiring somebody, I create a system and then I don't hire them. McDonald's spent how many decades building franchises with people? They're going the opposite direction. They can't get labor. They're building systems to deliver burgers. Create your A-player list. All right. One of the ways to do that is fractional people like me so that you can afford to do it. Delegate the things you hate doing. If you aren't going to do it, then put somebody on your team who will. All right. You were driving around in your Lamborghini and it's got a flat tire. You ain't going anywhere. That's the reality of it. And that's why you've got to take those steps. Because at the end of the day, you don't need more resources. You need to be more resourceful. Focus on the bottom line, which is profit in your pocket.
If you'd like for us to be a part of your profitability journey, we have different programs available ranging from do-it-yourself to one-on-one coaching. Our course, The Profit Blueprint, teaches you everything you need to know to transform your profitability. There are 3 different tiers ranging from DIY to done with you so that businesses of all sizes can get the support that's best. Join the waitlist in the show notes to get more information and be a part of the next cohort. If you want a done for you service, you can hire us as your chief profitability officers. We only work with a handful of clients, so they all get our full attention. We work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $10 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on our calendar for a good fit conversation to see if we're the right people to support you and how we can help you.
This episode of the Profit Answer Man podcast is brought to you by SMBpodcastnetwork.com. The network is a collection of podcasts and shows from around the internet which focus on bringing you interviews with amazing guests who share actionable advice, ideas, and information for small and medium-sized business owners and entrepreneurs. Visit www.smbpodcastnetwork.com to find more great shows and easily subscribe to be notified of new episodes. It's a great way to discover quality content. If you've discovered us via the network, then I hope you enjoy today's show and will consider subscribing directly so you never miss our episodes. Remember to check out my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we talk about how to live the ultimate life and be the best business owner you can be. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.